In this practical tutorial video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a mega synthesizer by using one MIDI message and distributing it amongst multiple synthesis modules. To do this, we'll be utilizing the new MIDI Splitter hub that was added to the 1.1.2 update, and then we'll automate the creation of messages using the MIDI Arpeggiator tool. And I'll demonstrate some of the new features that have been added to the Arpeggiator tool with the 1.1.2 update. What we're seeing here in front of us is the synthesizer. I've gone ahead and built it. You can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, A+2 synthesizers. Each one is going to do something a little bit different and contribute to a different part of the sound. They're labeled Mega Treble, Mega Mid, and Mega Bass. And if we listen to each, we'll notice that even if we play the same note, we'll get very different results. Let's look at what I've put together here. We have the Mega Treble, Mega Mid, and Mega Bass synthesizer. The treble plays the note that we're going to choose at pitch. The mid will play that same note 1 octave lower, and the bass will play that note 3 octave lower. Each synthesizer uses 3 waveforms, and they each use a little bit of detuning to thicken up the sound. Now, if we switch over to the envelopes, we'll see I've done something very intentionally here. The amplitude envelope for the first synthesizer has a very short attack, but a very quick decay and a low sustain. So let's listen to that result really quickly. You can see that after an initial burst, the sound quickly decays into a very quiet sustain. Now, the mid synthesizer has a longer attack. Also it has a short decay, but it has a slightly higher sustain so that in the long run it'll hold up a little bit louder. Now the amplitude for the mega bass has a long attack, a very short decay, and a very high sustain. Now if we play the same note here, we'll notice that during the sustain, this stays very loud, but it takes a while to come in. The overall result is that once we're using this as a mega synthesizer, we'll get more treble at the beginning and more bass at the end of the sound, with the mid coming in a little bit halfway through to sort of round out the tone. All right, now that we can see how this is put together, let's see how we can control each of them from one location. I'll make a new board, put it to the right of the synthesizers, and I will put into that the MIDI Splitter module. Now we can see that the MIDI Splitter module gives us access to a K slider, a keyboard, but it allows us to send the module's data out to up to 4 locations. We only have 3 synthesizers, so we only need to use those 3 locations, and I'll go ahead and copy-paste each of the module names. Alright, now if I play any note on the keyboard, we'll see that it gets sent out across all 3 modules. So there's our super synthesizer. We can see that from one location we can control all 3 to get a really big sound. Alright, so with the MIDI Arpeggiator loaded, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a series of notes. I'm going to choose from A up to the A above it, which is going to give us a nice quiet sort of somber A minor sound. Instead of just 1 octave, I'm going to set that up to 2 octaves, and I'm going to set the offset down by 1 octave. Then with the dimensions set up, I'm going to switch from 8 to 16 pitches. The reason why I'm doing this is because we have 8 options here, but we're going to have 8 options split amongst 2 octaves, which gives us actually 15 octaves, but 16 will give us a little bit more variety. Then in the time grid, I'm going to change the subdivision to whole note, and this is so that we can just have a little bit of a slower generation of notes. And now all I need to do to send the data to the rest of the synthesizer is to take the automation ID from the splitter and send it down, setting it as the output of the arpeggiator. So now the signal chain is we're going to make notes in the arpeggiator. They're going to be sent to the splitter where they'll be split out amongst the 3 instruments. As one final thing, I'm going to show off the random tab. Now the random tab, every time you hit new, it's going to make a series of random choices across the grid with up to 1 location in each column. If I add, we can then add more by pressing the add button. Now, if we like this idea of randomness and we want to keep generating random notes over time, then we should turn the continuous random toggle on. Now every time the grid starts over, it'll make new random values. And I'll change the number, the amount number, to 3, which means that we'll generate up to 3 pitches for each column as we go. Now all I need to do is turn the arpeggiator on and let it run its magic. So we've created our mega synthesizer. We've sent the data from one MIDI location across to each of the synthesizer modules, and in doing so, created a very large and very dramatic sound.